One of the most exciting new galleries on the scene. It's in Pottstown, right at the train station across from the police department. And that's important because they are doing the kind of shows that are avant-gardists that nobody else is doing. If you've got some badass political art or some really exciting art that you don't have really a platform to show anywhere, they are your people. So look for their calls for art. There's a show there right now on resistance, and there's a really exciting young art student who has a piece on AI, and one of the door prizes for coming out with us today will be a giclée of that painting. So while we're having our presentation, I'll send that around, and you can see her beautiful work and how she's depicted AI and two people that are communicating. Her name is Mia Davis, and she's one to watch. So Danielle and Anthony are bringing a very rare perspective to us today because Danielle comes from the world of IT. So she's bringing to us a translation of how IT systems work, the technical side of it. Anthony is a working contemporary artist, a gallerist, and he experiments with AI as an artist, but he's also making decisions as a gallery owner about the presence of AI in the world of art. And that's becoming a really red hot topic right now. So today they're going to speak to us from the inside, cutting through the hype and the fear, focusing on what AI really means for our creative processes, authorship, and the future of making, showing, and sharing of our art. You're in, I know, for a fascinating talk and maybe for a few surprises as well. There will be time for questions at the end. Without further ado, please help me welcome Danielle and Anthony.
Okay, probably we turn them down.
We need the lights on.
Yes. Just wait a minute.
So we're waiting for that to warm up. I'm Danielle. I did about 18 years in the IT sector. I was a programmer, I was a project manager, I supervised developers. I worked on some pretty early machine learning projects. One of the projects I worked on was machine learning for sheet music, where we were training the machines to learn how to read sheet music. This was in an attempt to allow a more searchable database, but it uncovered a lot of opportunities and a lot of questions were asked of whether or not it could write its own sheet music because we've trained it to learn it. So I have some familiarity with this, and this is Anthony.
Yes, I'm Anthony. I am a contemporary avant-garde artist and a gallerist, as you've heard. We have to deal with AI as a gallery. We have had to create policies about AI. We have had to deal with artists using it and figure out how, well, myself, how I'm going to use it, and as a business, how we're going to use it. We both own the gallery together, so it's.
We're also married.
We're also married. There's also that. A small detail.
So AI, it's a tool, it's a threat, or is it a turning point? And I would argue it's all three. A lot of people are using it to speed up work, things that are boring, things that you hate to do, your taxes, things of that nature, sending an email. If you want to type really shorthand and throw it in there and have it be more professional, It's fantastic for that. It is replacing people in the workforce. In the IT sector, there's been so much downsizing because programming is now being done by machines. And a lot of artists are losing jobs because businesses are just asking AI to make an advertisement, so they're not hiring artists to do advertisements like they used to. And it can be used to do things that humans could never do. It can take large data and turn it into actionables. A lot of companies, a lot of nonprofits are using AI as a way to combine data down into an actionable. Are people showing up? Right now, there's a tool that I'm looking at as Main Street Manager for Pottstown. It's a tool that tells us how many people are attending our events. And it's looking at phone data and combining that down and saying this was a successful event, rather than just being my eyeballs looking around seeing this is how many people I feel like showed up. So there's a lot of really fantastic big data models that can be used with AI that will allow us to do things we've never been able to do before. So, but what is it actually doing? A lot of people refer to AI as though it thinks, as though it has sentience, as though it's my best friend. I have heard relationships are happening with AI. It is, but what is it actually? Our computers are all ones and zeros. It's down to whether it's on or it's off. Everything goes down to a binary. So it's not magic, it's programming. It's programming that is very, very sophisticated. It's very magic looking, but it's just a calculator. It's calculating ones and zeros down at the very, very base of this. So it's not doing anything programmers don't know it's doing. It has unpredictable results because we can't foresee the calculation that's happening. We can't see the formula, but it's still just a calculator. It's really awesome. It's a really great calculator, and I love it. I use it on the daily basis. As somebody who has dyslexia, it has made my job so much easier and better for communication purposes, because that is a problem for me, is writing out and having people understand what I'm saying. So it's great for that, but it's not magic. It's not a human mind. It's not consciousness. It's not imagining in the way that humans imagine. It's a computer that's calculating. So a better way to frame it is machine learning. We teach a program to learn. That's what we're really doing with AI. We're teaching it to learn, and there's several ways to do that. There's supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and hybrid learning. Supervised learning is where I say, this is an apple, this is an apple, this is an apple, and then now it knows what an apple is. Unsupervised learning is where I throw a bunch of data at it and I say, what do you see? And it might say apple, it might say orange. We don't know because we've just thrown a bunch of data and it's trying to find commonalities in things. Hybrid learning is what we're using with ChatGPT and other things like that nature. You are all in this room have participated in this hybrid learning. If you've ever used a reCAPTCHA where you put, this is a train stop, this is a train, you are helping teach the machine. We gave it a bunch of data and it says, I think this is a train, and you're telling it, yep, you're right, no, you're wrong. So we've all participated in helping train these models, especially the model that we're here to talk about today, the ART model, as we've participated in helping. So that is what it is. Now let's talk about how it might be used.
All right, so for us, the uses for us creatives is a little different. You might use it for an email or something like that, but typically what we're going to talk about is creating art, right? That's what we're all kind of concerned about, or we're interested in about. Can a machine create art? So, a little bit of terminology. There's a couple different ways that does this. Big way and a smaller way. Big way is what's called generative AI. It's where you just type a prompt. You've probably all seen this. You type a prompt and you say, you know, make an image in the style of Van Gogh of the White House, and it spits out something. And you go, wow, that was amazing. That's generative AI. You're just giving it words, and it says, okay, here's what, I've looked at all these other images in the internet, and all these other works of art, and I made comparisons, and I'd say, I think this is what you want. I think this is what you're calling for. It swooshes it all together, and it spits it out. Another tool is predictive editing, where it's a smaller tool. This is like, I use Photoshop a lot. I'm a photographer mostly in my art. And for years, Photoshop has had these tools like healing brushes and these tools where you could, you know, fix a little part of your image and you just brush over it, and magically it would take out a scar or a dot of, you know, something got splooged on or whatever, you know, and you're like, get rid of that. And you just brush over it, it's just gone magically. Because it looks at the area around that and it makes a prediction about what that area should be. So it's kind of doing the same kind of calculation, but more locally. So does that make sense? It's instead of going out to the whole internet and saying, give me something out of whole cloth, that's what I'm describing. You're telling it, look at my image and look around on here and use what you know to put that back together. So that's predictive editing. Then they pushed it out to now, when what you were talking about how it's a marketing tool. Now all of these tools that they used to just say are healing brushes and all this stuff, they've relabeled as AI because it's a marketing term now. But on the bad side, if you are, say, entering an art show that has rules against images that have been edited with AI, well, now suddenly those images are flagged with something that says, you know, that it was edited with AI. Well, thanks, Adobe. I appreciated that. But that's where we're at, because they want to get on that train, that sell that AI, because everybody's excited about it. So that's basically how those two things are different. And then they started doing things like they started blending them a little bit, where they have crop tools now, where if you have an image that's like square and you need to put it on a postcard type size thing, oh well, that doesn't, either I cut off the top and bottom or I create something more. Well, they have a tool now where you can just take that crop tool and instead of coming in, you pull it out and it looks at the image and it creates whole new areas of the image to fit what you needed for that. So it's kind of a mix of those things. And now Adobe now they want to take those brushes and those crop tools and they want to send that data out to their servers and get the information back. So it's kind of a combination of these things now, but it creates worse outcomes now. So, you know, we were better off before, but as far as the generated AI pieces, is it art? Right? This is the big question. A lot of people's minds, like, is it art though? Is what it's creating might be amazing. You might go, wow, that's fun, but you consider it art. And I guess it goes down to like, what is art? What do you consider art? And to me, I consider art to be like a rendering of our human experience, right? Some fresh rendering of our human experience that other humans can relate to. And what does that do for us? It gives us like empathy. It gives us some kind of fresh perspective on other humans. That's my definition. But can a machine do that? Does it understand emotion? Does it understand your emotion and can translate that to some new piece? Or is it just calculating and making, predictions about, so many people that have asked for this took this, I'm gonna take that, and so you tend to see, if you tend to see these AI generated pieces, it all start to look the same, right? And you can pinpoint them, you can go, that's AI. The reason you go, that's AI is because it's starting to spit out the same things over and over again, because people are taking them, and so it's going, that must be a winner, and then it keeps spitting them out. But can it create awe in people? When people come to your art show and they look at your piece and they are moved by it, can they be moved by it? It's not a question that I really have like a definite answer to, but it's just a thing to think about when you see it and use it, AI for art. One of them was just recently here, March 2nd, just about a month ago, the Supreme Court declined to take up a case, Stephen Thaler versus Copyright Office, where a computer scientist generated a work and then tried to copyright it, and the Copyright Office said, no, we can't copyright that. And he took it to court, and the lower court said, yeah, they're right. You can't copyright that because it is our laws and our copyright laws and any other laws are written for people, not for machines. And so a piece that's generated by a machine can't copyright something because it's not a person. And the Supreme Court declined to take up the case, therefore letting that ruling stand. So you can't copyright AI generated work. So take that in consideration. Other things, if you're creating works, galleries are having they'll have different policies on if they're going to accept that or not. And a lot of them are really cracking down on AI and not accepting them for their own reasons. I can tell you from our perspective, where we come down on it, is we don't accept AI generated pieces because we see them as a work for hire. And I try and apply the old rules to the new stuff and see if it works. If you, as an artist, were to ask someone else, another artist, to create a work for you, and then you brought it to a show, put your work on it, and submitted it to my show and said, here's my work, I would have a problem with that. And I think the other artists would probably too, but and so I would consider that a work for hire. You paid someone else, or you asked someone else to create something for you, and then you put your name on it. So it's really no different that it's a machine doing it. It's still the same idea.
What if it's a hybrid?
There's a question and answer session, sir? Oh, no. Well, it is good. Our policy on that is if it has AI generated elements in it, we allow that because in the spirit of collage, like you used to cut things out, like you cut things out of magazines and put, you didn't create that little image. You're creating something new, but it's human created piece out of elements, and you're having a hand in it. So it's a little different that way. That's where we come down on it. I know other galleries, I've known other galleries that have been like, bring it on in, AI, great. This is especially contemporary galleries. You really want to be on the cutting edge of where art is going, and I get that. And that's where, if they feel like that's where art is going, they're going to say, we want to be in on that. We don't want to miss out on that. So AI artists, bring it in. We want to see that too. But that's where different places are. But I would say if you are creating pieces and using AI in those pieces, don't expect to bring it to a gallery and just dump it in their lap and go, here you go, and walk away, and because they probably, if they get wind of that, they'll probably not be too pleased. at that. So, and I can say, in our experience, we have had that happen. We have had an artist in a show and who submitted pieces and totally reported to us that they were his own creation and told us all kinds of stories about the creation of those works and showed in-process works making them. And then about a year later, we got a very angry message on our social media saying, this is my work, this artist stole my work, and you went to their page, and for sure, they absolutely did. They just put it in an AI filter to make it look like it was painted instead of a photograph.
Wow.
So,
So we have new policies.
so we have new policy. So, yes, yes.
I have one quick question about copyright. A couple years ago, I went to a presentation down in the city, and if the artwork is compiled with writing, at that time, the whole work could be copyrighted. I'm wondering if you have an update, is that still the case?
Is the art in the writing?
So if somebody
In the
did
prompt.
illustrations for a book, and then they also wrote the story, they could copyright the piece in its entirety, and those AI-generated illustrations would be part of that.
So this is where it's
Because
gonna
there was
be
There was
complicated, right?
It
And
was
this is where-
possible like 2 years ago, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's still possible.
Well, I will say this just happened last month, and
Well,
How that
Yeah.
impacts and trickles
Standalone.
down
Yeah.
is gonna
That's
be.
gonna come up again,
Oh,
because
yes.
corporations,
Yeah.
which are designated, yeah, that's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
come up in a very different way.
and so,
You're
but,
at the
and,
beginning of something that's going to be a tremendous amount of
Yeah.
lawsuits, et cetera,
Yeah.
before it really is settled.
Right?
Well,
got
you
the
have-
tiger by the tail, literally.
Yeah,
Well, then
I'm
you
married
have-
to
you have
an intellectual property lawyer,
Yeah.
and, oh boy.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So is
you
the
have,
art in the descriptor to AI? Or is that where the art's gonna lie in the future? How you ask for what you want, you know?
Actually, that
Will we
was
become
funny.
poets of AI?
I think that it gets tricky when you start talking about the technology.
Yeah.
When you're typing something in to a tool like GPT, you no longer own those words.
Yeah.
The way you phrase that now belongs to ChatGPT, Gemini, any of the tools that are out there.
did not know that.
They have in their terms of service that they're allowed to use that content that you're providing.
Any way they wish.
and that's
even-
part of the whole system is they have to, because they take that data and they put it into the whole model.
That's true of Facebook, all social
And they-
media, anything
yeah.
you put on social media, they have the right to do anything they want to.
Yeah.
We sign off on it and don't read the fine print.
And to talk about what Karen is asking, there's so many tools out there that will write your story for you, and every time you present something, you have to write this little blurb about what it is you're presenting. You don't have to write the blurb anymore, there's AI. I hate to tell you, I did it once, and they did a much better job writing it than I did.
Well, give AI the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Give AI the boring stuff.
Birthday cards. That's what
Yes,
we do in AI.
yes, it's boring stuff, stuff that
In our,
you don't.
I mean, a little peek behind the curtain, I mean, when we were drawing up the outline for this talk, we threw it into ChatGPT.
I took raw notes, threw it into GPT and said, how would I lay this out as a
So,
presentation?
Where do you stand on programs that are generated, are using AI to aid the production of work?
where do we stand on programs
Things like
that?
Photoshop, Capital One.
So essentially, so as far as, I'm gonna speak for the gallery now. As far as our gallery, we started out with the mission of wanting art that tells a story, that has a narrative, that connects people, that elicits emotion and empathy to create connection between people. And so if the dividing line for us is it have that human element that whatever tools you're using, does it have that human input that creates that connection?
So where do we fall on corporations using it to replace human artists? I'm not a fan.
Not a fan.
And I'm not a fan, my kid is not a fan. If he tastes AI, he will not purchase that product. And he is young enough that he knows it. He knows it the second he sees it. We have restaurants in Pottstown that he will not go to because they're using generative images for advertisements, which has forced me to rethink how I do things because the younger folks are boycotting.
And if you think about it, I mean, to them, it makes sense because they're gonna need a job after they're looking at these things and going, that doesn't seem like that's good for us. All these people are losing jobs. That seems like a bad idea.
There's also a loss of authenticity. When your advertisements, when your signs, when your billboards look like everybody else's signs and billboards, you've lost your voice, you've lost authenticity.
Are you familiar with the work of Jonas Peterson?
I don't think so.
Jonas Peterson was the first AI artist that I came across, and I was completely gobsmacked. I thought the work was so innovative and so beautiful, and he creates these people and scenarios that are kind of otherworldly. And I had a big argument with a friend of mine about the fact that I love these and she hated them. She gave me this whole argument about, well, they're stealing work from thousands and thousands of artists and not giving them credit. I see the work as being completely his work. He has created the image, he has directed, using the AI tool, he has directed and altered the color combinations, the expressions, every single choice in creating that image is his choice, but it's created by this machine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another artist that does these amazing videos, all AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
She creates her own music using AI. She creates these amazing, there's sort of stories. There's a narrative. Not a story. There's a narrative to the work. And I love her work as well. And these characters that she created are so quirky. I can't imagine that she's taking from that artist and that artist and that artist to create that particular image. And so this is the struggle that I have with accepting and loving AI.
It's
I mean, like, is it considered art if every single choice is made by the artist, but not hand-drawn?
But we've had these questions before. With the invention of the printing press, with the invention of the camera. We've had these questions. We've always, as a society, pushed back when a new tool comes in. And it's not photograph, that's not art. That's you're just taking a picture of what is.
Or we were talking about corporations. I mean, if you work for Coca-Cola as a, designer of their advertising, as the artist creating that, you don't own that, Coca-Cola does, right? So it makes it
Or their
complicated.
products.
Right.
I had a friend who invented minute rice and Tostitos. He got a salad.
Yep,
He didn't own the copyright.
yeah.
Right.
So it makes it complicated, yeah.
I'm very involved with Woodmere, and the museum several years back had people who were making art and jewelry. That's a form of art. They were making jewelry in,
In a
they were
machine.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
Three
should
D
see some of the
printing.
pieces. They're exquisite.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
3D printing,
laser
laser cut.
There's a line
It's all computer
that is
generated.
very difficult
Right.
to cross. And at Woodmere, they now have a jewelry exhibit down in the basement,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. And you're going to see some of the stuff that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can also duplicate guns if you wanna kill somebody. But I think this is where life is going, and you just gotta get on board. And then one other thing, when I got out of school, I designed, fabrics for the home. Great big cabbage rose thing, oh, I love doing all of this. It was just wonderful. People were paying me to do what I would have done for free. And where's that industry? You artists aren't doing that now, it's all being done by computers.
Right.
There's no industry there. In a way, I think that's sad, but if you're a young kid coming out of school, you darn well better be tech savvy,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's where you are.
Sure.
Yeah. Joe?
I'm not an artist at all, but I could see this, just as you said about the camera, kind of back in the day replacing everybody's portrait artist.
Mhm.
They thought they would replace it, it's just a different medium now.
Right,
It's already been done.
I could see this just becoming another medium.
it's very,
Yeah.
very
Its own,
likely,
its own category.
right.
Where do you fall on like the use of Procreate to draw and to paint? Is that?
My son is a digital artist.
Okay, so that's okay, because we don't always do the
I-
brushes, you can
and-
change them, but.
I can't say what is and what isn't okay. I think as a society, we're gonna have to determine
For your
that.
gallery.
But for our gallery, yeah, we absolutely love digital artists.
Yeah, we've shown many digital artists, we think that's totally, because that is still, even if the, you know, the technology is enabling some of that, it still has an artist's hand.
Yeah, I don't make my brushes either, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
So
is
I
so
think that's the key.
important, what you're talking about, I think this is absolutely, you have to start beginning to look at this and to decide what is art?
Right,
And what do we use and what do we not wanna use? I mean, there's so much that you're bringing now to the table, and we must start talking about it.
And at the same time, I don't, you know, we want to be personally, I want to really, we are not kind of gallery who is very, you know, high end, like, we're not trying to like, be hoity about it or anything. We are really trying to bring everyone in, we're trying to be very democratizing about our art, we're trying to bring, we don't have a gallery right outside of the golf club here, we have it in Pottstown. So, no insult to anybody here, but it's Pottstown, so we're not going to sell, you know, certain works there, but that's why we make reproductions available for people, because we realize you gotta meet them where they're at, there. And so, you know, the same kind of thing, like, we're not trying to like be exclusionary. We want to be welcoming to new methods and new ways and people, but at the same time, you have to have a standard, a set of ethics, a plan that tells people who you are too. So, and other places are gonna have different plans, other places are gonna have different, you know, standards for that. So that's good.
I worry about the point where the AI is learning and learning and learning, and taking all the images that it is getting from all the different directions, from artists that post them all the time, and I'm guilty of that too.
Mhm.
That if at one point that it doesn't then through 3D printing, then copy what you've done, and how will you tell that, you know?
well, you can't now.
No, you can't.
Yeah, like now, we got bamboozled.
Yeah.
We thought this was genuine painting. We
Painting.
thought it was a
Really?
real,
Wow.
original
Any-
painting.
We have,
Wow.
you know, actually embellished physically
Oh, God.
on it to make it look like there was brush marks, but not.
Yeah, we're
created.
already there.
Yeah, we're there, yeah. But as far as creating then, something that is completely different, in that method? I mean, that's the thing that,
It,
because
it
it's learning,
currently-
learning.
It currently cannot create anything new.
New, okay, but.
It can do an iteration on
Combine.
what exists
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
As long as we live in a ones and zeros world.
Oh, okay.
Now, once we get into quantum computing,
Mhm.
which Microsoft turned on their first quantum computer,
God.
then we're having a new conversation.
Yeah.
And this is gonna keep getting more and more and more sophisticated, and we're gonna get more and more difficult to be able to see.
Tell the difference, yeah.
Mhm.
No.
So, on that topic,
Oh,
this is a hot topic.
yeah.
We're gonna be really quick about this one
Yeah,
though,
real
because we're
quick.
running out of time.
Yeah. We're on time.
Electricity and water.
So, the data centers, you're all hearing about the data centers.
Yes.
But yeah, so you're all hearing about the environmental concerns, how much water they use, how much
Yes.
electricity they use, all of that. What's not being reported as much, and it probably should be, is it's a bit of a scheme. It seems like it's all gonna kind of collapse in on itself in a couple of years, because it's the tech companies loaning money to the shell companies that they've created for themselves
Oh,
to
okay.
buy their own processors that they put into the data centers, and then
And we
it
don't
makes
need
the
them.
prices go way up, which makes them more money.
Mhm.
You can run ChatGPT, Gemini, locally on your computer.
Everyone on my phone.
On our phone.
No, I mean not connected to the internet.
Oh.
You can install it on your personal computer. We do not need these data centers. We do not need them. There is no need right now for them. They are planning for the future. They're not needed.
As soon as people figure out that they don't, their computers they have now have all this processing power that they're not using, and they could be doing this locally. You can download the LLMs, the large language models, right to your computer, run it locally. Your computers are plenty fast enough. As soon as people figure that out, these things are gonna shut down and they're gonna be empty like the malls. And so,
We don't need.
so there you go. Yeah, on that note,
Spread the word.
on that note, thank you all for listening to us. We created this little image here on ChatGPT for you. That's what it's good for. That's about it. So yeah, thank you all. Unless you have any other questions.
All other images in our presentation
Yes.
were either stock film or Anthony's work.
Just our contact information if anybody wants to get a hold of us.
And we've got business
I
cards
got
up
the cards
there.
up here, yeah.